Hey. Just settling in a little bit. Whew. Getting ready for episode 16 of Multifaceted. And I'm a little bit out of breath right now. I was just running around my house. I had a really lovely morning and I had left the window open without realizing it. My daughter, when she's at her dad's, will walk by our house on our way to school. And so it's a really nice part of our mornings when she's not with us, as we get to wave hi to her out the front window. And I forgot to shut the door, or the window, I mean. So it was chilly and I knew I was about to come on here and have a conversation and have Multifaceted start, and felt like I all of a sudden had to kind of winterize myself. So we ran and got a cup of tea and a sweater. So I'm ready to get started with this episode of Multifaceted. So just settling in. Welcome to those who are watching, whether you're watching now or whether you're watching the replay. I'd love to see who's here. Let me know if you're watching the replay. Let me know that you're watching. Say hi. I'd love to know where you're watching from. And just really grateful that you're here. Of course, through the month of September on Multifaceted, we're talking about manifesting. And today we're going to be talking about knowing what you want. And the title of this conversation is, I know you know what you want. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what that means. Of course, Multifaceted is a weekly live series that started 16 weeks ago. This is episode 16. And it started out of a desire to really open up a conversation about how multidimensional we really are. All of the beautiful layers and facets of who we are, of what make up who we are, and of also what unifies us as humans. You know, what are the things that actually connect us in this era of division and all sorts of frustration and pain and hate going on in the world. I think it's beautiful to have a conversation about how we're connected and about how there are certain things within our lives, within our experiences that we can actually, have a control over with our mindset, with our outlook, with our perspectives on, who we are and how we operate, and how we can actually create a shift, an inner shift in what we're manifesting and what we're drawing into our experience and our lives. And of course, we all have our own background. We all have our own set of experiences, depending on where we grew up in the world, depending on our background. There's so many things that impact our experience, our race, our gender, our family experience, our ancestries. So, there are a lot of things that do set us apart, but what I want to talk about is what unites us and what can bring us together. And in this case, it's the ability to get clear on what we want for our lives, what we desire for our lives, what we desire for our inner experience, our immediate experience within our world, and then, of course, an expanded view of what it is that we desire for the world, what we desire for humanity. And let's start, because that's a big conversation. Let's start about talking about what it is that we individually want for ourselves and how to really know what it is that you want. Because again, the title of this conversation is that I know you know what you want. And the reason I know that is because our lives are showing us what we want through the blend of positive and not so positive experiences that we're having. We're always getting clarity on what it is that we desire for our experience. If you really agree with me that most human beings desire love, and peace and connection and acceptance and safety and security. You know, if that's kind of the baseline of what we all desire, of course we would desire abundance, most likely as well. You know, that comes along with the security, but also beyond that, you know, we would desire pleasure. We would desire to be surrounded by beautiful things as well. And I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but just kind of start to insert, you know, what it is that you really truly desire as a baseline for yourself. And then we're going to start to look at what your current experience is and how much control we have over certain things. Because of course, we can't really control a lot of what's going on in the world, the greater world right now. And there are a lot of things that are going on that don't feel good, that we're witnessing, that we're seeing, that we're hearing about. There's very many layers to this. There's a lot of, I think, collective confusion about what's really going on, and it's hard to really know, right? So overall, we can agree that there's a lot of that that's out of our individual control. The way that we consume this information and the amount of time that we spend consuming this information is absolutely something within our control. And I'm not saying to put our heads in the sand or to ignore it, but I am saying that if you are desiring peace and love and comfort and all of those beautiful things in your life, then there's a certain degree of that that we need to work on cultivating within ourselves. And a lot of that comes from what it is that we do on a day-to-day basis, minute by minute, hour by hour. And I can assure you that focusing on conflict and focusing on the things that are going on in the world that we don't want right now, it's just going to perpetuate more of those feelings within us. And so even just here in this moment, just cultivating a sense of peace within ourselves, just feeling really beautifully grounded and safe where we are right now. Maybe taking a few deep breaths, just being present right here in the moment. My 13-year-old daughter is incredibly wise. And she, as we were driving the other day, said to me something along the lines of, you know, the things that happened in the past, the things that happened to me, the things that happened in my experience, I could continue to make them wrong. I could continue to be angry about them. I could continue to dwell on them and focus on them. But what if I just made that decision to just accept that the past happened, the past is in the past, and that I can just be who I am now and move forward? And I mean, to have that come out of the mouth of my 13-year-old daughter, I was so proud to hear her say that. And we continue to talk about that, just the power of being in the present moment, because there's so much comfort and safety and peace in that. So this is just a reminder for you. And of course, this conversation is all about manifesting and getting clarity on what it is that you really want. So the other thing that we can do is to take the stuff that's happening in our lives, whether it's in our immediate environment, in our immediate world, or in the bigger picture of what's playing out in the world right now, and take the stuff that doesn't feel good, the contrast, the experience that we have when we see it, when we consume it, when we let it really get to us, when we let it fuel conflict in the conversations that we have with people that have opposing viewpoints. When we think about the feelings that those kinds of experiences elicit, most likely they're in opposition to what it is that you really want. So they're actually guiding us. These experiences are showing us more and more of what we don't want in our lives, in our experience, in our world. So we can, rather than make these things wrong, we can just take the information from them and get really clear that we don't want those things, you know, that we want to start to move towards and shift towards something that is along the lines of what we talked about in the beginning, that we're wanting to manifest for ourselves: more peace, more love, more comfort. And of course, we can go and try to fight all of the things that are happening. It's important to stand up to things that are happening that aren't okay. It's important to take a stand for something. It's also important, even more important, to make a stand for the thing that you really desire, not the thing that you don't desire. We can have the thing that we don't want guide us and help us be clear on what it is that we really want. And again, I know I keep going back to and talking about what's going on in the world, but this applies to everything. This applies to relationships and dating. This applies to experiences that we could have with our children, in our careers, just overall day-to-day experiences. Think of anything that's happened, you know, the most recent uncomfortable or unpleasurable experience that you've had. There's so much rich information in that to help you get more and more clear on what it is that you are desiring for your life. So we can flip that. We can take all of the things that came out of that and we can flip that into getting clear on what it is that we do want. And that's where we want to put most of our energy, our attention, and our focus. And also for our own well-being, that's where we want to put most of, you know, what we focus on, what we think about, what we talk about, so that we can actually start to manifest more of that, more peace, more love, more comfort, more safety, focusing on what we do want. And again, going back to the title of this conversation, I know that you know what you want. So it's really about tuning into what it is that you want, what it is that you desire, not what you don't want, what it is that you do want. Somehow we tend to often focus more on what we don't want, and we think by thinking about it that we're pushing it away. It's important to give it the attention that it needs so that we can get the clarity from it, so that we can put the majority of our energy into cultivating what it is that we do want. I hope this is making sense. I hope this is clear. But it's really about navigating our lives from this standpoint. You know, if you think about, I've heard this many times before about how an airplane is on course heading towards its destination, and there's a statistic about how often in the flight time that it's actually off course, and that so much of the actions of the pilot or the autopilot or whatever is happening in this flight is about redirecting. You know, it's actually making these adjustments, knowing that it's actually acceptable or okay to be off course from time to time, that that's going to happen, that that's actually a given, and that being off course on a flight, most of the passengers would have no idea of those moments in time where the flight is actually off course. They're not panicking and thinking that we're not going to get to where we want to go. They're just sitting there enjoying their flight. But there's an amount of energy directed to what's going on with the pilots, with autopilot, in terms of redirecting this flight and making sure that it does eventually get to the right destination. The destination is clear. So knowing what you want, and this can shift over your lifetime, and this has happened to me very many times, is that I thought I knew what I wanted. I went for it, I got it, and then it wasn't exactly either what I wanted, or something shifted, or I evolved, or I changed. And that's okay too. But to have a destination in mind, knowing that it can evolve and knowing that it can shift, and to be moving towards it, and to be course correcting yourself by allowing yourself to be off course and not being hard on yourself if you get off course. And again, not being hard on yourself if you get stressed or upset or anxious or worried about what's going on, worried about not going in the right direction, you could be going in the complete opposite direction for a moment in time, but it's the reminding yourself of what you want and reminding yourself of the direction that you really desire to go, and then just continuing the course correct. And just having that be part of the journey, having that be part of the process. And also knowing that so often that these detours that we take, these, being off course moments, that they can often have within them some really beautiful gifts and pieces of information that we didn't have before as well. So just really not making any of it wrong, just being really grateful for the path and the process and the awareness, and then to just come back to that center, knowing where it is that you want to go, knowing what it is that you want, and just having all of that information. The unpleasant stuff, the stuff that doesn't feel good, the stuff that drives you crazy, it's all really beautiful awareness. You can flip it and it can help you get clearer and clearer on where you want to go and what it is that you want, what it is that you're wanting to create and cultivate. So that's why I know that you know what you want, because you're always being bombarded with information within your life through a series of experiences, and how you are taking them in, how you're making them mean, or what about it that you're making it mean for yourself can make a lot of difference. If you see the detours in your life, or the areas where you get off course, or the areas where something beyond your control happens that shifts things, if we can see these as opportunities for more information, for more experience, for more guidance, for more clarity, to help really start to narrow down that destination of where it is that we want to go, it's all just beautiful information. It's beautiful learning. Even sometimes these experiences can be very uncomfortable. There's opportunities for healing within them. So again, just a reminder that the destination, as long as you have that in mind and you're really spending as much of your energy as possible focusing on those, knowing that it's okay to look at the other stuff, it's completely okay to be aware, it's a good thing to be aware of everything else that's going on. But to really realize that if you're spending a majority of your time concentrating on something that brings up uncomfortable feelings, brings up anxiety or fear or discomfort or sadness, that it's going to take you off of your destination a little bit longer. And that's okay too. It's all okay. It's just really, again, the whole point of this live series, the whole point of why I talk about these things is to really just open up this conversation about all of the dimensions of who we are, and also to remind you of how powerful you are. I think that's one of the most important things. We have the power to choose our thoughts. We have the power to choose what we make things mean. We have the power to decide how much power we give other people in our lives, in our headspace, in our thoughts about ourselves. This is a really important reminder, again, in terms of manifesting what it is that you want. How much power are you taking for yourself, and how much power are you giving to anything else? Because the more power you can take in your own hands, the more you're going to be moving towards that destination a little bit more efficiently, a little bit more comfortably, a little bit more certainty. And it just feels good. And it feels good to understand, again, that all of that other stuff is not going to go away, that all of that other stuff is happening for its own reasons, and so much of the weight that we put on it, what we make it mean, and how much we really let it impact our own inner peace, inner well-being, our sense of safety, our sense of love, that can become up to us. So I hope that this conversation has been helpful for you. For those of you watching now or later, if you have any questions, if there's anything that you would like to have clarified about what I'm talking about here, this whole process of manifesting. Once again, just a reminder that there's no wrong way to do this. There's no wrong way to do any of it. It's just, as I mentioned, one of the things that unifies all of us as human beings is the desire to experience peace and love and safety and security. And where we put our focus can have a huge power shift for us in terms of what that really looks like. And in terms of how steadily and powerfully we're moving towards the destination that we desire, what it is that we really truly desire for ourselves. So that's pretty much everything that I want to share for today. Thank you so much for watching Multifaceted, episode number 16. I'm going to come back again next week for another conversation in the realm of manifesting. It's a topic that I very much love talking about. Along the lines of getting clarity on what you want and on creating a roadmap to move towards what you want as efficiently as possible, I did want to let you know that within my Evoke membership group, starting today at 2 o'clock, it's actually coming up very, very quickly, I'm going to be launching the Roadmap to Your Comeback, which is a workshop, a 5-day recorded workshop that really helps you get very, very clear, first of all, on where you are right now. I didn't talk about that as much in this conversation, but the whole building a roadmap, that finding that point, you know, whenever you look on a map and it says you are here, it's very important to get so much clarity on what that is all about, what that looks like, and just be really honest with where we're at right now. So the day 1 of the Roadmap to Your Comeback is all about that. And the remainder of the 5 days is really about finding so much clarity, finding so much healing, and really allowing our own personal power to grow so that we can move more steadily towards what it is that we desire. We can get so crystal clear on what that looks like, so much that you could close your eyes and walk around in it as if it's already happening. And it's a guide and a support in building your own roadmap so that you can continue to refer to it as you move forward in your life. So that's happening within the Evoke group starting today over the next 5 days. And the membership to be in Evoke is $44 a month to be a part of that, and it has all sorts of other incredible bonuses and goodies within it, including weekly live videos like the one I'm doing here where there's a training. We also meet monthly on Zoom for group coaching, and there's a few other bonuses and guides that I include in that group as well. So the Roadmap to Your Comeback alone is something that I sell for $222, but if you join the Evoke group, then you're getting that just as a bonus. It's $44 a month to be in the group. So if you are interested in joining, let me know. I can pop you into the group even before the first video launches in the next little while. But if you end up joining later, it's all okay, because the recordings are going to be there that you can really watch and follow these anytime you want. And you can also rewatch them if you get to the point that you need a reset, or to course correct, or to get more clarity on what it is that you want over time. So to join Evoke, just send me a message or comment below and I can get in touch with you with all of the details and help you get signed up. You can also, if you just want Roadmap, you can just purchase that on its own and go through it at your own pace as well. So that's also an option. And it does come with a really beautiful workbook. It's about 30 pages long that helps guide you through the whole roadmap process as well. All right. That's everything I wanted to share about that. Don't forget, if you're interested, to just reach out to me or comment below, and just sending you so much love and peace and comfort through everything that we're going through right now, and just a reminder to keep clear and keep focused on what it is that you do want in your life and for the world and for humanity. So much love. Talk to you again soon.